And good morning. Welcome to the Viking Coaches Show. Here with head coach John Gage of the Avery boys basketball team. We want to thank our sponsors for being able to put this together each week. We appreciate Big Mike's Coffee Shop for the accommodations and hosting us when the weather accommodates us to get here. We're very grateful for them being able to allow us to use their area here as kind of our studio, so to speak. Very grateful to Mike and Jackie Nelson and their contributions to the sports programs here at Avery and the community as well. Just want to tell you they've got a lot of great items going on. They still have their Valentine's menu right now available. So they have the place nicely decorated as always, and a little love here on the table written out. So a lot of Valentine's motif going on. So a lot of Valentine's options for drinks and other items as well. Do want to let you know they also have breakfast and lunch menu now available. So if you need a sandwich, a little hungry around lunchtime, or need a bagel or some kind of sandwich, something for breakfast, they can help you out. So again, we appreciate the coffee shop. We also greatly appreciate Kenny Johnson, his Johnson Staging and Events and Johnson Entertainment. Appreciate everything that they do for the teams, for the athletic department, for the basketball programs. Kenny's been involved with Avery basketball for many, many years through his work with his kids, but also just his coaching of different students. So many of our students through the years have been coached by Kenny, and appreciate his staging. Of course, the red lights, we can thank him for that. We've got a red light, I don't want to say red light district, that's a bad way to put it. Yeah. But we have red lights up in the rafters of the not Stadium, but the Viking Gym. They're on Burleson Court that we use every home game, pregame lineups, and that's really a nice little addition for our students, just to give them a little something special as we announce them at games on home games there for basketball. So, thank you, Kenny. We appreciate all your support as well. Coach, we'll get into the games we've had that's come up so far. Of course, you had that two-week layoff we spoke about last time, and then you've had back-to-back games early this week, Monday at Mountain Heritage, Tuesday at Mitchell. Let's talk a little bit first about the game at Mountain Heritage. That game was kind of back and forth. It wasn't like either team. It was similar to the first game, where you all weren't able, either team neither really was able to pull out to a large lead, but then Heritage able to build up a little bit late in the game. I think second half they kind of pulled away from you. Can you speak a little bit about just kind of the flow of that game and just what you guys kind of picked up and how you felt like your guys responded after such a layoff to be on the floor?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I wasn't thrilled with our response. I'm never going to be one to make excuses because, these guys have been playing a lot of basketball over the course of their lives, and the thing that was a little disappointing to me is the things that you expect to be impacted by having a long layoff, as we said, are the things like shooting, some execution details, things like that. Right. But things like effort, toughness, things like that, you should be able to walk in a gym and bring to the table. Those are those things that you can control. The non-talent elements of basketball are the things that I wanted to see a lot more of from us. And honestly, we were able to score enough to keep it close with Heritage over the course of the early portions of the game. But I didn't think that at any point we were playing nearly as hard or as tough as we needed to be. Defensively, we weren't sharp. We weren't doing the little things like running back in, the ball stopped in transition. Our ball movement wasn't very good. And I didn't think that some of the rust that you would expect was definitely there. And so that wasn't surprising. But I do think that we did a decent job of, even though we were not necessarily playing well, being able to at least keep ourselves in striking distance early on, and then we just wore down. But overall, I just didn't think, especially against a team like Mount Heritage, who is going to play you tough and is going to be a physical team. I don't think 5-on-5 we consistently responded to that. I think we had some guys that were fighting, but not everybody consistently. And
Yeah, I think when you look at Mountain Heritage, just on a roster or maybe on tape, they don't overwhelm you with their size per se. They don't overwhelm you with their speed per se, like maybe a Hendersonville might with the speed they have. But it seems like Coach Johnson has their team kind of poised always every night to,
Sure.
to give you their best. And,
Yeah.
and I have this impression they're going to be pretty sneaky good in the playoffs in their bracket. I feel like they could do some damage in a bracket just because it seems like every time, of course, when we play them, it's kind of a house of horrors. I mean, I can probably count on one hand the number of times we have beaten Mountain Heritage in as long as I've been covering high school basketball.
Sure.
It's tough to win down there. It's
Yeah.
not. I don't want to belittle that point that it's not easy to win on the road anywhere in the conference.
Right.
Especially though at Mountain Heritage.
Oh, yeah.
And just from what you see from them, do you feel like they're kind of underrated a little bit as a squad?
Well, I mean, I can't say enough about just the phenomenal job that Coach Johnson has done with them this season because, I mean, they, to your point, that they are, and this is no shot to them, it's just, it's really actually a compliment to them, far less naturally talented than a lot of the teams they've had there in the past. But, I mean, they've also won conference game the entire season to this point. Which was to Mitchell, which was a bit of a surprise. But this is not necessarily talent-wise a team that would have one loss in a conference as competitive as ours is this year. But they just show up and they fight every night. They play hard. Their mission is for their 5 to play harder than your 5, and they do a pretty good job of that.
Right.
Play bigger than they are. Isaiah Adams and Braden Dean are both really good basketball players.
Yeah.
Case and Jones is just an outstanding athlete that gets a lot done with his strength and his athleticism. And they just execute at a really high level. So, I could definitely see them making some noise. And I think that there are some teams that could take them lightly. I could see them making a run in the playoffs.
Just like I could see us making a run as well. We get in. I think we have that kind of talent level that we can do some damage as well. But before we get to playoffs, we've got to get through the regular season and the conference tournament, right? So
yes, we do.
We've got Tuesday night's game we have with Mitchell. I know that one. I know that one did not go the way you would have liked, as we talked about earlier. I know it seemed, again, in that matchup, it seemed like Mitchell got out to an early lead, and shots just did not fall in that matchup with the Mountaineers over there in Ledger Tuesday. Can you just speak to kind of what you were seeing on the floor and just kind of where you think things went? Was there any carryover from Monday night coming into a back-to-back?
I believe so. And that was, I meant to say that earlier in my initial response. That is one thing I'll say is I'm not going to make excuses from a mental perspective. Coming off such a long layoff, especially we weren't able to practice on Friday going into the weekend. So our last practice was on Thursday. And then going against 2 rival schools on the road, coming back without a practice in between Monday, Tuesday. That mentally, that's a tough thing for young guys to overcome. And it's hard not to have some hangover when we thought that we had an opportunity to beat Mountain Heritage at their place, to come back the next night and take on a Mitchell team that, honestly, their record kind of belies the ability that they have. They've hung in close with a lot of teams. Obviously beat Heritage last week, that's their first conference loss of the season. Jacoby Dell is a really talented player. So they got some pieces, and they are another team that plays extremely hard. Honestly, and this is not a shot at them. Again, this is a compliment. They got several football players that are playing basketball, and it kind of plays like it sometimes. They get after it, super physical. And, it was a big-time environment, which, you would hope that would be something that would fire you up, that you want to play in. But we were absolutely in our heads early on. Like you said, shots weren't falling. We were getting good looks, but we weren't putting it in the basket. I think we ended up shooting something terrible, like maybe 31% from the floor over the course of the season, which, tough environment. You're just not going to get anything done. And then on the other end of the court, we really weren't defending particularly well. And when you're not scoring and you're not defending particularly well, you put yourself in a big hole. I thought in the second quarter we did a pretty good job of battling back and kind of stemming the tide a little bit, but then it kind of went back to the way it was in the first quarter in the second half, and we just never were able to get any traction. We're never able to get any just knock down shots. It wasn't even like I think when people look at that score, if they didn't necessarily watch the game, they think, well, they were taking a lot of bad shots. They were forcing a lot, and we did take some bad shots. But honestly, we were making a lot of shots that we normally make, or missing, a lot of shots that we normally make. And a lot of that's mental. And I think that you could tell that we were just not mentally in it over the course of the game, and it just got away from us. That disappointing result. A game we feel like we should have been able to win. So there's a lot of soul searching and a lot of sort of trying to think about where we go from here. And a lot of questions you have to answer in the days following that.
You mentioned something about football players playing basketball. when you see it, it seems this way, at least with your teams like a Mountain Heritage, a Mitchell, even a team like a Watauga, for instance, when they have football seasons that last long into the fall.
Yeah.
Does it seem like, at least to me, and maybe you don't see it this way, you might not,
Sure.
that it seems like those teams really peak later in the season just because they have to get kind of that rhythm of playing together on the basketball floor, which again, basketball stamina is different than football stamina. I've heard that from so many coaches. And just you have to kind of get your basketball legs under you.
Yeah.
You feel like maybe that later in the season you see these teams peaking because of that, and is that an advantage even?
I think it definitely is, especially when you think about Heritage and Mitchell in particular, who are two teams that have a very much a in-depth playbook in terms of their basketball, where they run a lot of set plays and they want to get particular looks out of their offense that they run. And that does take some time to implement and, to adjust from the football mindset of things into the basketball and building that team chemistry. That takes some time to sort of, all mesh together and gel. And so you do a lot of times see teams like that sort of come into their own once you cross that midway point of the season and sort of when they gear down towards the last part of conference play. Mm-hmm. So I do think you see Mitchell starting to play some good basketball, especially in their past couple of games, and kind of figure out who they are. And I think a lot of teams at this time of year start to figure out who they are. Honestly, again, not making excuses, I'm just to illustrate the point. When we were going into prior to the snow break, we were kind of figuring out who we are and it kind of found a rhythm to it. So I think that's typically what happens during this trajectory. So, I think there is something to that, taking that time for the football players integrating into the basketball players and kind of becoming a team.
I know your team sits at 10-9 currently, 4-6 in conference play. You still have the opportunity to finish at 500 in conference, which I know that's starting off 0-4, I think it was, and then being able to come back and do that. I think that would be tremendous to be able to do that in conference. But to do so, you're going to have to host Hendersonville on Friday for senior night, and then you get to go to Polk on Monday night to wrap up the regular season. Can you speak just a little bit about this game with Hendersonville and just the importance of it? And I know the last game down that way, it wasn't the result you would have liked either. Seeing that game, I know Hendersonville, very talented, a crop of guys too, of course, back in our conference for the first year and several. Wish they came in when they weren't quite so talented on the floor, but that's okay. You can't pick and choose those things.
Sure.
But you have them coming in, and just kind of what was your all's preparation like, especially with the mentality of putting these two games that you've had this week on the shelf and focusing on Friday night?
Well, I think that's it. You have to recognize that, okay, you take in the back of your head the lessons that came from those two games, but you have to be able to move forward. And I think that's the key to being successful. We talk about on the court all the time, the next play mentality of being able to shake off what happened before. And it's got to apply to the games as well. You certainly don't want to fall into the habit of, okay, well, I did this in the previous game and I'm just going to forget I did that and do it again. You want to be able to learn, but you also have to be able to progress. And, Hendersonville, as I told my guys in the locker room after the game, it hurts. And I mean, there's no two ways about it. I mean, I want to win every much as bad as my players do. And, they're frustrated by it. But Hendersonville's not going to feel sorry for us. And they're going to come in and they're going to be fired up and wanting to play us. And, this is a good opportunity for us to move forward. I thought we were competitive with Hendersonville in the second half of the game we played against them last time. We kind of came out flat in the second quarter of that game and it got away from us because we were back and forth in the first quarter of that game. And then, so really we played 3 decent quarters and 1 horrific quarter of the game. And that's what did us in. So I think there's some things that we've seen that we can, some buttons we can possibly try to push to give us opportunity to be, to make it a game. And I think there's a team that's absolutely capable of beating Hendersonville. I'm not going to go out and say that that's what we're going to do, but I think it's something that we're
guarantees
capable of
right there, right?
no
Guarantees.
But I will say that what I do expect my guys to do is fight and compete. And, and that was a big point of emphasis in practice yesterday. That's always a tough practice when you have a disappointing result like we got. And, we're kind of in the situation now where we pose it as, when your back's against the wall, how do you respond to it? Do you fight that or do you fold to it? And so we're kind of having to adopt that mindset of we've got to fight. Like we're fighting for our season right now, and that's what we got to look at it as. it's no secret what Hendersonville's going to do. They're going to press the heck out of you from the beginning, and they're going to want to play fast. And you have to be able to control the pace in terms of not getting sped up to the point that you're out of control, getting the ball into the half court, and getting good ball movement to get good shots. We got a size advantage, so I think that's something that we can utilize. And we got some good looks off of that last time. And just being sharp defensively. That's another thing. Like the press was one thing, but especially in the first half, we were not necessarily sharp defensively last time we played here in Seville. So that's something we want to clean up. But yeah, big game for us, senior night, opportunity for us to kind of get on the right track and sort of build off of what we had going prior to the layoff for the snow break. And so there's a lot of certain buttons we can push to try to take a step forward.
Well, I was going to ask, without giving away any trade secrets, I'll say that with you from time to time.
Yeah.
Is Hendersonville the kind of team when you play them that you consciously have to think, because of their press and their attempt to speed things up, it kind of encourages you to slow things down a little bit, especially offensively? And that's something y'all don't do a lot of. So it seems like that would be a little bit of a juxtaposition for you guys.
Sure. Yeah, I think you have to be cognizant of how to pick and choose your spots against a situation like that, because that is what they're wanting to do, is speed you up. A lot of people, the thing they get wrong about press defense is they think that it means you're trying to always generate a steal in the full court. You're trying to get an early steal, but a lot of your turnovers that happen against the press are in recovery. When you think you've gotten the ball across half court and you're getting to the half court, and people are coming back and running back in transition, and you get back taps, you get steals when people are rotating back to their spot, and you think you've got an open pass. And Hendersonville gets a lot of work done off of that. So being able to recognize if you have an open layup, which that does happen if you rotate the ball correctly against the press from time to time, then that's fine. But otherwise, you don't need to jack up a crazy shot. You don't need to take the first thing that's available. You can slow them down and disrupt them from the rhythm that they want to be in. Because I do think that we do want to play fast when we have the opportunity, but I do think in a situation like this, a slower pace game does play more to our advantage than it does Hendersonville's.
I agree. I feel like a game in the, even if they're in like upper 50s, low 60s, will favor you guys.
Absolutely.
You're still scoring, but you don't have that 81 or 88 or whatever the high scores, because Hendersonville's been known, they've scored some points this year.
Well, that's the thing, because so much of their offense is generated off of turnovers and getting out in transition. And that's what they want to do. They want to score their points off layups. And we want to do that too, but that's a majority of their baskets come off of that. So getting them into a half-court game, I think, does disrupt their rhythm a little bit and make them have to play more straight up 5-on-5 half-court basketball.
And I know last conversation we had, we talked about the seniors just a little bit.
Yeah.
So instead of just talking about them individually this time, I want to just talk about the senior night experience.
Sure.
And as a coach, you've done this now multiple times, having senior nights with your players.
Yeah.
What is it like for you as a coach whenever this night happens, and just not just in the preparation and the game calling aspect, but just what kind of goes through your mind when you have a senior night with players?
It's really it's bittersweet. And I felt this way about last year's group as well, because this was kind of the group that started when I was starting here. Obviously, like the groups with the Landon Inghams and Jack Crenshaws and Cole Singletons and everything like that. I was an assistant when they were coming through here, but like they were already at Avery before I got there. But I kind of started with this group, and guys like I think I said this last time, guys like Jackson Boone and Hunt Buchanan and Landon Liner, I'm the only coach they've had at Avery, and that's it's kind of hard for me to believe sometimes that they've already come through in 4 years here and that their time's done. And I was actually having a conversation with Hunt Buchanan after practice yesterday, and we were just talking about how many hours over the course of his life he spent in that gym, and how because his sister played basketball there, and it just grew up in that gym, and so it's hard to believe that that's coming to an end soon. And it's something, and something I just told him was that I would just tell him to take it all in, and because it's something that you want to remember and that you can't get back once it's gone. And I think that's important for us as coaches and them as players, is that it's such a special relationship that you build over the course of 4 years. You spend so many hours beyond the games and the practices getting to know these guys, and building that relationship that which hopefully, if you're doing it right, extends beyond when their time playing is done. But to just be appreciative of the time that you got left in this role together. And so, you want to make it a special thing for them, a night that's memorable because, they have put so much time in to earn that. They deserve to have a special night, a night that they remember. So, that they're a special group of guys that have done a lot of positive things here at Avery. And, we really want, and I would really encourage the fans to come out and be loud and vocal and supportive because they deserve that. They've invested a lot of time into Avery basketball and Avery school.
And of course, there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of games here. Polk County, of course, going down there. You handled them pretty well up here in the game on Friday or game earlier this season.
Right.
And you go there on Monday to wrap up the regular season before conference tournament play, which is, I guess, later in the week. I guess it's all going to be together. So kind of flowing right in. What kind of is the conference tournament schedule as it stands currently? And just a couple thoughts about Polk as well, if you don't mind.
Sure. So it goes Thursday through Saturday.
Okay.
So the first round will be on Thursday, and then Saturday is championship games. And been really focused particularly now on being one game at a time as far as how I'm approaching things. Because I think this is absolutely a team that's capable of making a run in both the conference tournament and the state playoffs. When we get our footing underneath us and we get our focus the way it needs to be, the talent is there. We just got to have the mental element of it match the talent. And if we can do that and play hard consistently, then we can play with anybody. As far as Polk goes, they're an interesting club. They've got a lot of good athletes on their team, and they're going to play hard. I'm not sure if it's their senior night or not, or if they're having that previously. I'm sure it's their final home game.
There'll be a final, I guess, final home game, but still, you don't know because of the schedules. Everybody changing so much.
Right. But regardless, they'll be motivated and fired up, ready to play. Aaron Jackson, who's one of their forwards, is one of the best players in our conference, so he can score well. We certainly can't afford to take them lightly. We can't afford to take anybody lightly. So, we'll be focused and ready to go. They're a team that likes to play fast. They want to score a lot of points and turn it into a running game, which, we're obviously comfortable with that. But, they're definitely a team that we need to be focused and prepared for because they got some good players that can hurt you if you take them lightly.
Coach, we wish you the best of luck with the game Friday against Hendersonville. No, senior night. I want to encourage folks to come out and support these seniors and support these teams. They've, again, as Coach said, countless hours of practice. You can't even enumerate how many as far as being out there for years and years. And this is a final home game, final opportunity for these seniors to go out and do their thing. And they can definitely use support, students, parents, anyone in the community to be part of this on Friday night. It will be senior night, as we said, on Friday, and then the game at Polk on Monday to wrap the regular season. So, Coach, we do wish you the best of luck in those games. I hope that come away with a couple of wins and a little momentum going into that conference tournament because seeding is still kind of crazy, right? As far as where you could end up.
Absolutely.
Maybe first place isn't in the cards per se, but better seed may give you a better path through in the conference tournament. So definitely hoping for the best there. And the conference tournament is happening at Madison High School this year. I think that's right. Is it Madison? Am I correct with that? I think it's Madison.
That is the boys' first round.
So, boys will be over at Madison High School. So, do want to encourage folks to take part in that, come over and support them as well there. And then we'll have another conversation next week and maybe looking at where we are in the conference tournament and, of course, kind of shaping up for the state playoffs. So, Coach, again, appreciate the time. And, again, we appreciate Mike's Coffee Shop, Big Mike's here in Newland at Pinola Street. Want to encourage you to come by and pick up any of their items on their Valentine's menu that's available right now, limited time, I'm sure. And then also their everyday items, hot eats, cold treats, you name it. They've got sandwiches, they've got bagels for breakfast, they've got lunch items, lots of different drink options available as well. So we appreciate Mike and Jackie Nelson and their contributions and their support of Avery Athletics and Avery basketball for our quote-unquote studio here, as well as appreciate Kenny Johnson Staging Entertainment. You need something staged, he'll stage it for you. He'll help you out. Anything, concerts, events you've got coming up, he has that availability. Pre-game concerts at App State, he's done those many times for football games, and just a lot of investment that he's made in the community, not only there, but with our basketball and athletic programs. So we thank Kenny for his support as well and all the efforts that he's put in. So please support and patronize those businesses as well for their support here. And let them know you heard about them with us as well. Again, we thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you next week. And again, once again, go Vikings.